I hadn't been married into the Paka family for long when he fell ill and passed away. The young man who joined the army, Pei II, signed the divorce papers on his brother's behalf. Sister-in-law, these are the divorce papers. My brother is gone. You don't have to be trapped here. You should go. If I go, forget it. The younger sister is still young, and the elder mother needs looking after too. I'll keep the divorce papers for now. You may head off to the military camp with peace of mind, second uncle. Once we are all settled in, it won't be too late for me to leave. Very well. 5 years later, the younger sister is attending a private school. The second son has become a general. I sell tofu pudding in the county town. A scholar on the street has been very kind to me. I intend to discuss it with the second son when he returns home for a visit. It is time I found a place to belong. Look. Where are those soldiers from? Pei II. He's back. Second uncle. Scholar Chen in the county has been very good to me. I wish to marry him. Don't worry, second uncle. Even after I marry, we will still be family. I can continue my trade, and I can still look after the younger sister. Second uncle, you want to get married? I am far better than that scholar. Why don't you try me? When I was 13, my father, for 5 tales of gambling debt, sold me to the PA family in Damao village. To put it politely, it was an arranged marriage. To put it bluntly, he sold his daughter. The PA family was once well off. They built their life on the father's skill for making tofu pudding, but ever since the father passed away, and the assistant ran off with the business, the sky has fallen on this house. Aunt has been struck with paralysis. Brother Dalang has come down with consumption. Only the orphans and widows are left to scrape by with what is left. Brother Dalang, drink some radish broth to soothe your throat. Yunyang, you've been busy all day. Go and get some rest. I'm not tired, Brother Dalang. When I was back home, I still had to go up the mountain to chop wood and work the fields. This is much better than back home. I'm already used to it. These few characters, can you recognize them today? Brother Dalang is a scholar. If it weren't for his failing health, he would have earned his official rank long ago. These past 2 years, not only have I learned to write my own name, but I've learned quite a few characters as well. Yunyang, you've been in this house for 2 years now. Take this bracelet. I'm thinking of picking an auspicious day to hold the wedding for you and Dalang. Mother, this marriage, I do not agree to it. Cough, 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 cough. I know my own body. I'm afraid I won't last much longer. Don't ruin Yunyang's life. In my heart, she is just like Xiaotao. I have always looked at her as my own sister. Aunt. Yunyang, tell Aunt Ting the truth. Are you still willing to marry Dalang? When Aunt bought me back then, wasn't it to be Brother Dalang's wife? Yunyang, please don't blame me. Our family depends entirely on you. Yunyang. Dalang cannot get up. I must have Erlang stand in his place before our ancestors and perform this bow with you. First bow to heaven and earth. I have been with the PA family for 2 years. This is the first time I've seen the second master of the PA house. He is 2 years older than me. I've heard he was unruly since childhood. At 15, he accidentally killed someone. His father spent the family fortune to send him to the army. I never expected that when we met again, he would be standing in for his brother at our wedding. Brother, this marriage is invalid. After I pass away, you must write a letter of divorce for Yunyang. Don't let her whole life be ruined. A farmer in the morning. In the emperor's court by evening, great leaders are not born into status. A man must strive for himself. Scholarship never betrays those who study. Half a year after the eldest brother passed away, my aunt followed him. A common cold took her life. It happened so quickly. This family is just like the autumn leaves, all falling away until nothing is left. Oh my, the second brother is back. Perfect, just perfect. Now that the eldest brother is gone, and the aunt is gone too, there's no way to carry on living like this. Sign the letter of divorce for me right now, so I can take my daughter home. Daughter, Daddy isn't gambling anymore. I've turned over a new leaf. I bought a donkey and became a carter. My short-lived son-in-law has been dead for almost a year. You're only 16 staying here to live as a widow. What kind of life is that? Come home with me. I'll have someone find you a good marriage match. Are you really done with gambling? I'm really done. Then swear an oath. If you're lying to me, may you be struck by lightning and meet a miserable end. May your hands and feet rot, may your tongue rot. And after you die, may your body be thrown in a potter's field with no one to bury you, and then be devoured by wild dogs. Xue Yu, have you lost your mind? How can you curse your own father like that? I'm done gambling. Can anyone actually believe a degenerate gambler like you? What good match are you talking about? You're probably just trying to trick me back home to sell me off again. Back then I was young, and I had no other way out. Do you really think you can fool me with the same old tricks? Go lie to someone else, you brat. You get back here, you ungrateful wretch. Stop crying. You're opening your mouth so wide it is scaring me. Wei. Urya, I wet my pants. Can you help me change them? Great-grandmother, you've wet yourself again. Now is not the time for this. Can you help me change my pants? I can't. I want my sister-in-law. I miss my sister-in-law. Sigh. What use is that third son? He couldn't even keep his own wife. If it weren't for him, would we be reduced to such a state? Don't cry. Great-grandmother already has a plan. Once it gets dark, we're running away. We can't stay in this house anymore. That coward is no good. Sister-in-law. Yunyang, I've wet my pants. I haven't changed yet. This old woman and that young girl, how can I leave them behind? This man, usually so decisive and ruthless, was currently defeated by a ball of dough. Second uncle, let me do it. Second uncle, it is time to eat. Little aunt is still young, and great-grandmother needs someone to look after her. If third uncle returns to the barracks, have you figured out how to settle them in? I intend to entrust them to the Jew family in Shibo village. The Jew family? Isn't that the family of Pi Mei, the sister who married into the West village? But I grew up in Shibo village. The Jew family cares for nothing but money. They curse and berate their tenant farmers at every turn. It's nothing but a den of fire. Oh, mother. Ever since the PA family lost their money, she hasn't even stepped foot in our house. The last time I saw her was when mother and eldest brother died, decked out in gold and silver, yet full of nothing but hypocritical lies. I don't know what second brother PI is thinking, but to send little Xiao Tao, whom I've cared for 3 years, and our grandmother, who is a bit mentally muddled, into that den of fire. I cannot rest easy. Second brother wants to entrust them to the Jew family. I suppose since village chief Jew is a local squire, he wouldn't refuse if only for the sake of appearances. But I don't know if you're aware, though our sister-in-law is the eldest daughter-in-law of the Jew family. Having been married there for many years, she has only given birth to a daughter. The mother-in-law in the Jew family has many complaints. I heard brother-in-law Jew has already taken a concubine, so our sister-in-law's life hasn't actually been easy. If that's the case, we shouldn't be adding to her troubles, should we? I will keep the divorce agreement for now. Second brother, please head to the army without worry. I will stay behind to look after the household. Once Xiao Chu and grandmother are properly settled later on, it won't be too late for me to leave. What do you think, third brother? Very well. Ah, the money box. 13 taels and 6 mace. And the jade bracelet left by my aunt. It's all gone. Second brother Pi had only been back to the army for a few days when the house was turned upside down. My father, Xue Yu, pretended to come visit grandmother, but stole everything the family had. Sister-in-law, what are you doing? I'm going to the county seat to collect a debt. You, what are you doing? I am your father. Come with me to the yamen. Order in the court. You bold Xue Yu. Though you are now a wife of the PA family, you are still a daughter of the Xue family. In the Great Chu, for a child to sue their father is a reciprocal crime of rebellion. If you insist on pressing charges, the verdict will include a punishment of 20 lashes. Do you still wish to proceed? I do. I wish to charge Xue Yu for conspiring with gambling house thugs, selling his own wife into a brothel, and driving my mother, Lady Li, to hang herself. He also embezzled her dowry. Do you have evidence? When my mother died, I was only 7 years old. I have no evidence. Then that is just your word without proof. Then I shall charge Xue Yu for attempting to sell the same daughter twice, in violation of the court's rules. Under the Great Tang, under the gaze of justice, I shall not favor either side. However, since your theft charges against Xue Yu stem from your position as a Pei daughter-in-law, there is a reason for this conflict. I decree that he must return the Pei family's money, and that will be all. He has no money. He has gambled it all away. Then he shall sign a promissory note with the county magistrate as a witness. He cannot renege, and if he chooses to renege anyway, then I shall charge him with fraud. Have him flogged and cast into prison. Court dismissed. Drag her away. Xue Yu receives 20 strokes. Bear with it, girl. The 20 strokes are finished, though it hurts. No bones were broken. Shisharan presses his thumbprint on the debt document and is promptly thrown out of the courthouse. Here is medicine for your injuries. Take it. Thank you, officer. Why did you go easy on me? I am an old acquaintance of your father-in-law, Pei Changshun. Ever since he started his tofu pudding stall, we've known each other. Take this money. There is a donkey cart over there. Don't walk. Hire a cart to get home. Uncle Zhao, thank you. Although I suffered some physical pain today, at least the debt note is signed. Xue Yu won't dare to act rashly again. Even if Erlang isn't here, I can still protect this home. Besides, even though these times are hard, there are still good people in this world. Your father didn't sell your mother. Didn't I tell you already? She owed money to the gambling den. They were just coming to collect. Your mother clearly had a dowry, but she stubbornly refused to bring it out. I only threatened him a little bit, saying I'd sell her to a brothel. Who knew she had such a stubborn temperament? Get out. The same old excuses. When I was 7 years old, I watched my mother hanging from the rafters. Her feet were dangling and swaying back and forth. Your father sent you to the PA family, just wanting to find you a better place. Get out. In the past, I didn't understand why people lived. Later, when I arrived at the PA house, I finally understood. In a world full of suffering, just staying alive is the greatest blessing. Delang no longer has a chance, but I do. I want to secure my footing. I will carve out a path to survive. After returning to the PA house, I lay in bed for an entire month. During that time, Pei Xiaotao would hiccup from crying, while clumsily following my instructions to get things done. Later, even when grandmother wet her pants, she would happily trot over to help change her. She even felt a sense of accomplishment from it. Every day when she had nothing to do, she would gaze longingly at grandmother. Why do you keep staring at me? Don't look at me like that. You're scaring me. Grandmother, are you thirsty? Have some water. I'm not thirsty. No, you are. By the time I could barely walk, we had eaten through everything in the house. The 2 laying hens I had worked so hard to raise had been slaughtered by Pei Xiaotao, who took them to Widow Wu next door for help. They were butchered. Heavens! What kind of state is the PA family in? Drowning in debt and still eating chicken? My sister-in-law needs to build up her strength. We have 1 more left at home. I'll bring it over in 2 days for you to butcher. Don't be so formal with me. I'll save all the chicken tails for you. Just take it. Your rice jar is so empty you could use it as a mirror. Many thanks, sister-in-law. Don't mention it. Listen, you shouldn't just grit your teeth and struggle. Doesn't that PI May have a place as a young mistress at Chief Ju's house in Shibo village? You should have that girl borrow some silver. She is your own sister. She can't just watch her own mother starve, can she? Xiaotao, you saw it for yourself. Wealthy families have many rules, and money doesn't exactly grow on trees. I'm talking to you. Did that Xue Yu send you here on purpose? Eat, eat, eat. All you know how to do is eat. Look at your pathetic, miserable state. I absolutely will not keep you and grandmother here. I didn't take a single cent of the PI family's remaining silver. Whoever took it can deal with the consequences. Go back and tell Xue Yu to stop putting on an act and playing games with her father, thinking they can dump the 2 of you on me. They're dreaming. Dower. Your sister is doing this for your own good. You and grandmother must stay with the Pei family. Otherwise, we won't even be able to keep our house. What is wrong? Sister-in-law. Is Pei Mei really our sister? When my mother gave birth to her, did she accidentally drop her into a ditch? She is like a polished donkey turd, shiny on the outside, but still just filth on the inside. Ha! She can say what she wants. I'll just take what I can get. I couldn't just come back empty-handed. You're a capable one, Irya. I'll go again next time. Grandmother, I'll take you with me next time. Good. We will both be successful. We will definitely be successful. Pinky swear, you must be back before sunset, or I'll leave grandmother behind and come looking for you. All right, I'll be back before sunset. Since I couldn't borrow any money, I'll have to earn it myself. I didn't realize until I got to town that the tea houses and shops had no need for help. The moment a manager shouted in Lion Alley, a crowd of women would scramble for the job. You couldn't even squeeze in. I went for several days, shamelessly asking every shop if they had any work. I finally spent 2 days grinding medicine at a pharmacy, and a day moving cargo for the Jingyun fabric shop. Manager, I don't understand. Why hire us weak girls to move cargo instead of those strong young men? Ha ha ha. Those men are too clumsy and rough. What if they break the fabric? Be careful, everyone. You can hurt yourselves, but don't you dare mark these fabrics. Sister-in-law, the steamed buns are still warm. So delicious. Save the rest for you and grandmother to reheat tomorrow. Sister-in-law, why aren't you eating? The fabric shop provided a meal at noon. I ate 3 full bowls of rice. Yunyang, you really are capable. Next time, I'll try to eat 4. I earn too little. We're living hand to mouth. Erlang said his military pay only comes every 2 months. It has only been a few days. My little sister and mother, I leave them in your care, sister-in-law. He had never called me sister-in-law before. I will not let you down, brother-in-law. But no sooner had he left than I was left struggling to keep the family fed. I felt so guilty that I didn't dare to stop. Before dawn, I set out for the county to find work, copying books. copying books. As long as the handwriting is neat. 1 copper for every 10 pages. I hadn't found any work all morning. Although I have very little education, I'll just have to give it a try. I really overestimated myself. Even though Erlang taught me how to read, the characters might recognize me, but I don't recognize them. Your writing is very good. Excuse me, I just wanted to ask how to pronounce this character. This character Yi, the crane flies 10,000 miles, soaring into the vast heavens. It means to soar directly upward. I see. By the way, I notice everyone is copying the same thing. Why does the bookstore need so many copies? This is a new collection of poems by Prince Kang in the capital. It is all the rage in Huajing now. Every prefecture is scrambling to show their support, all hoping to catch the prince's eye. Don't worry about it, miss. It doesn't matter if your handwriting isn't perfect. The shop is just doing this to put on a show for the Daozhou commandery. They aren't actually going to sell that many. That is a relief. Thank you. Thank you for your guidance, young master. Other people write as if inspired by spirits, while I'm just suffering through this. Gurgle, gurgle. Miss, if you don't mind, you can have this to hold you over. Oh, thank you. I'm really starving. I won't stand on ceremony for this single coin. My wrists are nearly broken. Here. Just hang on for another 2 weeks, and Uncle Pei should be able to send some money over. No. Distant water can't put out a nearby fire. I still need to find a way to survive for now. Ah, hey, Uncle Zhao. Uncle Zhao, please wait. Oh, girl, what is it? Could I possibly borrow a string of cash from you to get by? As soon as Uncle Pei's military pay arrives, I'll pay you back immediately. Sigh. I'm only lending this to you. Out of respect for your late duke, you must remember to pay me back. I have a daughter at home with a bad leg who needs medicine. Don't worry, Uncle Zhao. I will definitely pay you back. Xue Yu is a woman of her word. Pei's family letter and the pay. They finally arrived. 4 taels of silver. This is a lifesaver. It smells so good, sister-in-law. It is so delicious I could lose my tongue. Thanks to my second brother, and thanks to all his ancestors. You silly girl. Aren't your second brother's ancestors your ancestors too? With money in hand, I didn't go back to the city to look for work, since the PA family's old gear is all here. And Lion Alley is so busy. Why not go back to our old trade? Making tofu pudding might look simple, but it is actually quite exacting. Soaking the beans depends on the season. The earthenware jars mustn't be glazed. The ground milk must be rubbed until it is smooth. Strain it through fine cloth twice. Only then will it be pure white and tender. Sister-in-law, you're so amazing. How do you know how to do everything? Second brother already sent money back. If we live frugally, we'll have enough to get by. Why do you have to work so hard, sister-in-law? We can't rely entirely on your second brother. He is serving in the army at the frontier, risking his life every single day. If we have a bit more money on hand, he can use it to grease some palms there and make his life a bit more comfortable. If he sent all his money back to us, he'd be left with nothing, living in this world. Besides just keeping ourselves fed, we need to save up some money. Only when life is going well can we truly feel secure and confident. Then, what do you want to do with the money you save, sister-in-law? There's so much I want to do. I want to send you to school and have new clothes made for you and grandmother. I want us to be able to have roasted chicken and spiced meat every day. A person should always aim higher. Once all that is achieved, then I'll save up a generous dowry for you. Why save a dowry for me? Why don't you save one for yourself? I'm already married. I am your sister-in-law. Then why not save a dowry for second brother? He's older than I am. I should save for his dowry first. Hey, with your second brother's capabilities, he probably won't need us to save for his dowry. Why? Is he really that impressive? He is, isn't he? I think it's very likely he'll make a name for himself one day. Who knows? He might even become a great general. And what about me, sister-in-law? What do you think I'll be when I grow up? You? Maybe you'll even walk the halls of the emperor, becoming a lady official like Qin Liangyu or Feng Liao. Am I really that capable? Yes, you're exceptionally capable, extremely promising. The more I say it, the more I almost believe it myself. Life has to have something to look forward to. When you have your big estate in the capital, don't forget to bring your sister-in-law along to enjoy the good life. Let me share in your success. Hire 7 or 8 maids and servants to wait on me. I'll get you 100. Sister-in-law, keep saving your money. The bean curd is very tender, but the flavor is still a bit off. It can't compare to your father-in-law's craft. A bit off. Authentic PA family bean curd has a taste no one else can replicate. Back then, when the staff from your father-in-law's shop tried to strike out on their own, they couldn't even last a year. The people of Yunnan County have very picky palates. It is not that no one has tried selling it on Lion Lane, but business was never good. A bowl of noodles is 15 cash. A bowl of bean curd costs 20 cash. The cost of raw beans is fixed. You can't make a profit if you sell it cheap. If you sell it for 20 cash, it has to be exceptionally good. Otherwise, everyone would rather just eat noodles. So there is so much to consider in this trade. A setback at the very start. But I cannot give up. Knock, knock. If there is anyone left who knows the secret to the PA family's recipe, it must be PA May, who married into the Jew family. How petty. I only took her cakes a few times. Is it really worth shutting the door in my face? A few times. Didn't I tell you not to go there again? You went to their house to get pastries again. Yeah. Coming. You ate it, and you took it. The last time her mother-in-law even saw you. Didn't you see how ugly her expression was? And I even asked her quite sensibly if she was sick. It is you two again. Don't go sticking around our mistresses like a piece of dogskin plaster anymore. Our mistress says she knows nothing about any recipe. And even if she did, she wouldn't tell an outsider. Who would want to be in business with you? It is hilarious. Do you even know who our mistress is? Don't come back here again. Who died? What do you mean, who died? What are you babbling about? Didn't you just say it was hilarious? Also, stop glaring at me with your nostrils. The holes are too big. It is scary. Your nose looks a bit crooked. Make sure to see a doctor about it. Sesame crisps from Wushangzhai. I brought them for you. Aha, Miss Axiang, why did you come here? I heard everything you said to my father that day. Have you given up? You don't want to open a shop to sell tofu pudding anymore. It is not that I don't want to. It is that there is no way. I can't find the recipe. The taste is wrong. Even if I make it, no one will buy it. Why haven't you asked Uncle Ear? Uncle Ear? Perhaps your aunt really doesn't know. Uncle Pei was a businessman. He would likely only pass such a secret recipe to his son. After all, a daughter will marry into another family eventually. Why would she take the family skills away with her? But does Uncle Ear even know? He left home a long time ago. How will you know if you don't ask? Just ask him. Write it now. I'm heading back to the county seat soon. I can drop it off at the post station on my way. It is done. It is one thing that the handwriting is ugly, but isn't the content a bit too blunt? There isn't a shred of concern between relatives in these lines. It is all just business. Then how should I write it? Add a sentence at the end. The frontier is cold and harsh. Uncle, please take good care of yourself. Hoping for your safe return. Xue Yu. I am the same as you. We both lost our mothers early, and I'm a cripple. My father is always busy trying to arrange a good marriage for me, but I know. What kind of good family could I possibly marry into? What decent man would ever want to marry a cripple? But my father won't listen. He saved up 100 taels for my dowry. He says it doesn't matter if the groom's family is poor, as long as my husband treats me well. He is at his age, and still so naive. Who would be willing to marry a cripple? If not for this 100-tael dowry. Xue Yu, if you want to sell tofu pudding, I can take my dowry and help you open a shop. 100 taels. All of it. Don't refuse me just yet. I don't have any ulterior motives. I don't need much in return. I'm not greedy. I just want a way out. I don't want to marry a man who spits on me and calls me a cripple behind my back. It has been a month since the letter was sent, and still no response. Xiang said he would reply. Perhaps I thought too highly of myself. In the eyes of outsiders, I am just the hardworking widow of the PA family. But in the eyes of the second young master of the PA family, the separation papers are already signed. I am, after all, an outsider now. Why would he ever? Tell me the PA family's secret tofu pudding recipe. Sister-in-law, you're overthinking it. How so? My second brother is going to be a great general one day, and I am going to be a lady official. Our PA family will have a grand mansion in the capital, with 100 servants to attend to us. Once we reach the halls of the emperor, who would still come back to sell tofu pudding? So that recipe is of no importance at all. Just when I was about to give up, a letter from the second young master of the PA family arrived, along with silver. A letter from the PA family, and a money order. I never expected his handwriting to be so elegant, and he actually truly gave me the recipe. To my sister-in-law, the essence of PA family tofu pudding lies in two things. First, the savory broth. Second, the triple oil blend. The PA family oil blend is a secret mixture of sesame, chicken, and lard. Additionally, if chicken giblets are added to simmer in the broth, the flavor will be even fresher. He truly trusts me. treating me as his own sister-in-law. This shop isn't very big. It used to be a tavern. But look, there is a storage room in the east wing, and the kitchen is already set up. This is exactly what I wanted. I had originally planned to use a pushcart, but living that rough early morning life, I wouldn't be at ease leaving Mother and Xiaotao at home. That makes sense. Now that we have this shop, we can all move to the county town to live. The 2 rooms on the 2nd floor will be enough. Asyang, opening this shop has nearly used up all your dowry money. What if we lose money? What is there to be afraid of? My father has tasted it, and he said it tastes just like the old days. With the PA family's tofu, what's there to worry about not selling? Asyang is right. In just 2 years, we've earned back all our capital. Proprietress, 1 more bowl, please. Coming right up, just a moment. Thanks to Uncle Zhao, we managed to take our business out onto the street. Even the patrol guards turned a blind eye. Uncle Zhao, worried his daughter might be bullied, would walk around Lion Lane in his uniform whenever he was free. Grandmother would usually sit at the shop entrance, basking in the sun, trembling slightly, asking everyone she saw, "Have you eaten?" It was the 3rd year. After covering our daily expenses and Xiaotao's schooling, we had actually saved up 50 taels of silver. A long time ago, I told Erlang Pei that the shop was making money and that he didn't need to send his military pay home anymore. He should keep more for his own expenses in the army. He did stop sending money, but he also rarely wrote back. That's just the kind of person Erlang Pei is. His aloofness is etched into his very bones. Mistress Xue, is there a letter from the soldier today? No. I was just asking while I was passing by. Do you want to send your Erlang any fur-lined undergarments or knee pads to keep warm? Why so sudden? We're heading north in the next couple of days. There's going to be a major battle up there. The Northern Manjin and the Tile have formed an alliance. They broke through the northern border pass and slaughtered hundreds in the city. The Emperor is furious and has ordered the troops to move out. It's freezing up there right now. If you're going to send anything, get it to the post station quickly. Since they are going to war, he will have to wear armor over his clothes, so the undergarments must not be too thick or it will restrict his movement, but they still need to be warm. Pei Erlang is about 8 feet tall and well-built. These measurements should be right. Please, sir. It is all here. It is good to have someone back home. The army issues winter coats, but they never fit right. The padding is thin, too. Just enough to keep you from freezing to death. Is it really that harsh? For soldiers who have the means, if their families send them fur-lined robes, those become their treasures for the winter. If this package of yours arrives, I bet it will draw quite a few envious eyes. At the very least, knee pads and padded jackets are essential. Look, every winter, these are the most common things we receive at the station. Every year. That is right. You have no idea. Once this war starts, it won't be over in a few days. In winter, the wind blows sharp as a knife, seeping into every crack in your clothes. Why else would those barbarians fight so hard to take our lands? Every winter is a struggle for them, and it is a trial for our brothers too. Pei Erlang joined the army at a young age, 7 years ago now. Ever since I married into the PA family, I never saw his aunt send him a single garment. Over there, how did he survive these 7 years? From now on, every year, I will sew him better, warmer robes. Whenever I send clothes, I usually include a letter saying grandmother is in good health. Xiaotao has started school. The shop is doing well. Everything at home is fine. Don't worry, second uncle. I look forward to your safe return. In second brother's replies, there was only the word, well. Just the word well. The tofu pudding in the shop keeps getting better. The neighbors all say it tastes like Elder Uncle Pei's original recipe. We also sell chicken offal soup now. 15 wen a bowl. It has glass noodles in it, and you can soak flatbread in it. It is very warming to eat in the winter. When you come home, second uncle, you must have a good taste of it. The fighting on the border was intense. I never expected to receive any replies from second brother Pei, but after I sent the letters, the courier brought his replies. In second brother's replies, there was usually just the word well, but that single word well was enough to put the family's minds at ease. Great news, Mistress Xue. Uncle Zhao, is their word from the border. Great Shu has won a total victory. The barbarians have been driven away. His Majesty is overjoyed and has ordered rewards for the entire army. Then, when will they return? I hear a group of soldiers has been granted leave to visit home. It should be soon. Look, where are those soldiers from? Second brother P. He is back. His eyes were dark and heavy. Just one look at them, and my heart panicked. Third uncle. Sister-in-law. This must be our sister-in-law then. Greetings, sister-in-law. Gentlemen, please, there is no need for such formalities. You are being too polite to a simple woman. No, no, no. Sister-in-law, you really needn't be so formal. We truly don't deserve such respect. If it weren't for that letter you sent, we wouldn't even know if we'd still be alive. Come, eat this tofu pudding and chicken giblet soup. The general's word is as good as gold, since he promised to bring us along. We really are imposing ourselves on you. We hope you won't take offense, sister-in-law. I was completely baffled by what they said. Although I didn't understand, I did gather one thing. They came here to eat tofu pudding and soup. No more sales for today. I'm sorry. My apologies, neighbors. Xue Yu will make it up to you another day. My second uncle returned home today, and he brought back our great shoes. Brave heroes who just returned from the frontier. Please come back and eat next time. Everything is on the house today. We have honorable guests to attend to. The soldiers have healthy appetites. Nearly every one of them had a stack of bowls in front of them. Eat slowly. There is more in the kitchen. There is plenty for everyone. Sister-in-law, the general wasn't lying at all. This tofu pudding is incredible. It's 10,000 times better than those dry rations. This is what real food should taste like. Ha ha ha. I told you. This is the best cooking in all of Yunnan County. Thinking back on those 3 years at the border, it was so cold even our urine would freeze into icicles. Those Hu barbarians were so devious, acting just like rats. Hey, no matter how cunning, they were no match for General Pi leading the charge. And what happened in the end? Didn't we wipe them out completely? We drove every last one of them past the tiger-killing pass. Ha ha ha. Sister-in-law, is there any more tofu pudding? Yes, there is as much as you need. Sorry to trouble you, sister-in-law. Set out a few more bowls. Many of our men didn't make it back. We made a promise that if we won, we'd all come back to eat your tofu, sister-in-law. These 4 are all bachelors. They have no family left. The emperor granted leave for family visits, but they have nowhere to go, so I brought them along. As soon as word of the leave came down, I went back to Demao village to tidy up. The house is clean, and there is enough room for them. I know. You've gone to a lot of trouble. Don't worry. Even if there wasn't a place to stay, they wouldn't let themselves go hungry. It is a strange place. If they don't stay here, where would they go? I'll be back in a moment. He isn't staying in the village. I suppose so. I haven't officially paid my respects to Mother yet, and I haven't seen Xiao Tao either. Xiao Tao and I used to share the room upstairs. After Mother fell ill, Xiao Tao moved downstairs to look after her. That empty room is just used for storage now. If Brother Er were to stay there, the 2 rooms are just too close together. It really wouldn't be appropriate. Second brother. I heard you're a great general now. Ha, ha. Sister-in-law really didn't lie to me. She told me ages ago that you were the best, and that you would definitely become a great general. This girl, why does she spill everything? How are your studies going, Xiao Tao? The classics and the 8-legged essays. Recite a passage for me. Huh? Second brother, how do you know about these things? Do you even have to study in the army? Of course, those who are keen to learn in the camp are sent to the strategist for lessons. If everyone were illiterate, how could I read military manuals or defensive maps? You must be exhausted from your journey, second brother. We can talk about those things later. Go on up and get some rest. Your clothes are all dirty. Take them off so I can wash them. About that, is Uncle Second going to stay at the shop as well? Where else would I go? But isn't there a spare room upstairs? My sister-in-law didn't prepare a room for me. Oh, how could that be? I did prepare one. I just thought you would be staying with Lieutenant Han and the others. Why would I stay with them? I'm home. Naturally, I should be staying with my own family. That empty room upstairs is as messy as a pigsty. The bedding isn't even laid out yet. What are we going to do? Go on off with you. Running off just because I quizzed you a little. Go and help clear the table. Follow me, Uncle Second. Since only women live here, it's decorated a bit plainly. I hope you don't mind, Uncle Second. Not at all. It is very clean. Oh, ha, let me handle this. This is still the one I made for you last year. Take off your boots too. I'll take them out to air them out along with these. Rest for a while, Uncle Second. I'll heat up some water for your bath later this evening. I've made you a new underrobe. It just needs the hem finished. I'll finish it up in a moment. It'll be ready for you to wear right after your bath. How long can you stay at home this time, Uncle Second? A month or so. After that, will you be heading back to the frontier? No, I won't. My transfer orders have already come through. I'm to report for duty at the Chang'an garrison in the capital. The capital, under the nose of the emperor. Uncle, you're really moving up in the world. That is wonderful. I hear the capital is thriving. People on the streets all wear silk and satin. The plaque on the gate of heavenly offerings is made of pure gold. And those ancient pagodas on the triple mountains, if you stand atop them, you can look out over every province of our great Chu. Once I'm settled, I'll bring you all there. Bring us there? Taking Xiao Tao and mother is only natural. But as for me, I'll pass. If I were to remain his widow forever, then sure, I could go and live a life of comfort, but I don't intend to spend my whole life as a widow in the Pei family. Fate between people has its limits. I'm 20 years old. I should start thinking about the rest of my life. Like that Scholar Chen. Though Scholar Chen is poor, he is a sincere man who cares about others. Why the long face? Yuniang, do you really think I can pass? I haven't even passed the preliminary exam. You can. You're still young, and your learning is solid. You will pass eventually. Actually, I wasn't feeling well on the day of the exam. I was shivering with cold. I think I really could have passed if not for that. Exactly. So you must study hard, and take good care of your health. What is meant for you will be yours in the end. Yuniang, I will. Next time, I will definitely become a provincial graduate. If I do pass, would you consider me? Consider you for what? I want to marry you, but it won't work right now. My house is bare of everything, and I am a widow. I don't care about that. Yuniang, I truly don't care. I think you're wonderful. That is exactly why I want to marry you. It has nothing to do with you being a widow. Hey, that is enough. Why bring all this up? You should focus your mind on the next exam. Wait until you've passed before talking about this. That sounds good. Second uncle, please rest. I'll head out now. Ever since Pasa II returned, the bean curd shop, which was already doing well, has been absolutely bustling with customers. First the county magistrate, then the prefect, even the ants passing by seemed to want to pause to take a look at this legendary figure. My lord, look at this. It was only later that I learned just how ruthless he was in that battle. In that battle, he and the great general of the North coordinated from within and without to take back Wuxi County. Should we keep them to use as leverage against the Hu barbarians? Perhaps. That would be superfluous. Does your excellency mean slaughter them all? Burn everything to the ground. When word of this reached the capital, civil officials called him cold-blooded, with some even saying he was no different from a barbarian. Your Majesty, Great Chu has always treated captives with mercy. Pei II slaughtered women and children, which offends the heavens. Your Majesty, why did Pingcheng fall in the first place? Because soldiers pitied a barbarian child, only to have him poison their water supply. Among thousands of women and children, who can guarantee there are no treacherous hearts among them? I second that motion. Kindness on the battlefield is just handing a knife to the enemy. Understood. Issue a decree naming Pei Yi as General of the Martial Guard and reward him with 1,000 taels of gold. My minister, your military exploits are magnificent, and I wish to bestow upon you an even greater honor. I hear you have an elderly grandmother and a widowed sister-in-law at home. I wish to bestow an imperial title upon one of your female relatives. Your subject humbly thanks your majesty for this grace, but this title, your subject cannot accept it. Oh. And why is that? My widowed sister-in-law has indeed worked hard managing the household, but I must decline. Very well. I have one more question. The generals who returned with you have all been rewarded long ago, yet I delayed summoning you specifically. Do you harbor any resentment? I do. Oh, let's hear it. I had intended to hang up my armor and return home to sell bean curd. If your majesty had not summoned me, I'm afraid my business would have been neglected. Ha ha ha. Sister-in-law, this matter is definitely true. General Feng Jiru of the North, what a high-ranking figure he is. The biological brother of noble consort Feng in the palace, the uncle of Prince Kang. Even the Empress Dowager must call him nephew, truly of the highest royal lineage. He has his eyes on our general. He intends to marry off his youngest legitimate daughter to the general. What kind of person is this Miss Feng? A young lady from an aristocratic family is naturally refined. It is just that I hear, being the youngest legitimate daughter, she is terribly spoiled at home, extremely arrogant, and a bit headstrong. But don't worry, sister-in-law. In front of our general, even a tigress would have to lie flat. I heard that when the general first visited the Feng estate, that Miss Feng tried to give him a cold reception, but the general didn't pay her any mind. On the contrary, Miss Feng was stunned the moment she saw him. Now she won't even step out the door. They say she is staying home to practice embroidery and calm her temper. My brother-in-law comes from a humble background. Even if he is matched with a noble lady, I still worry he might be looked down upon. If he can hold his own, then that is wonderful. Who would dare look down on him? He is Pei Yi after all. He led 1,000 soldiers across the Han River, and with a single order wiped out thousands of barbarian women and children. Such resolve. Which young master in the capital could compare to that? Even knowing he did it for the greater good. Every time I hear of it, it feels like my heart is blocked by a wad of cotton. A woman is, after all, a woman. I cannot bear such cruelty. Pei Yi is truly a heartless man. Second brother, you've been drinking again. Given second brother's current status, he inevitably has many banquets to attend. I'm planning to make him 2 robes. In the past, I just followed my own taste, but now that he has returned, I should ask for his opinion. Second brother. Sister-in-law, you're still awake. I went to the cloth shop this afternoon and picked out some fabric. I wanted to make you 2 robes. What do you think of these colors? If you don't like them, I bought 2 extra rolls in other colors. You decide. Second brother, you've been drinking. I'll go downstairs and make some ginger tea. Please sit for a moment. It will help sober you up. Pei Yi's temperament has always been cold, but I feel like since he returned this time, he has become much closer with us. Occasionally, he even smiles. Second brother, the tea is ready and on the table. Weren't you going to make clothes? Aren't you going to take my measurements? Oh, is the one you're wearing not fitting? It is a bit tight. It is tight. Then I'll just let out the waist a little. Let me take your measurements. It is also a bit tight across the shoulders and back. Pardon me, second uncle. I'll use my hands to measure the waist. Sorry to trouble you. So this is what the body of a warrior feels like. The scent of alcohol and a cold, sharp aura intertwined, making my heart flutter. Xue Yu. What kind of look was that? I feel like I missed something. You haven't measured the shoulders and back yet. Second uncle, about that letter you and Commander Han mentioned the day you returned. What was that about? What do you mean if it weren't for that letter? You wouldn't know if you'd even have your life to eat bean curd in Daozhou County. When we planned the attack to take Wuxi County, we sent a unit to go around the Han River. It was freezing cold at the time, and it had been snowing for days. We didn't expect to run into a large tile army encampment halfway there. They outnumbered us. There was little chance of winning a fight, and it would have derailed our mission, so I led them to hide in the Lu Mountains. The TL encamped for 3 days. We froze on the mountain for those 3 days. It was so cold. On the first night, 12 men died. By the second day, hundreds. By the third day, General. I can't go on. It is too cold. Don't sleep. Everyone, keep your eyes open. Listen to me. Our PA family runs a bean curd shop in Yunnan County, Taozhou. If you can just hang on and survive, I'll take you all there to eat bean curd and hot, steaming chicken giblet soup. You'll have all the meat you can eat, all the soup you can drink. You're lying, General. There is no bean curd here. We're all going to die here. I'm not lying to you. I happen to have a letter from home right here. I'll read it to you right now. Everything at home is well. Grandmother's appetite is good. Only little Dao isn't studying hard. The bean curd at the shop is getting better and better. The neighbors say it has the same touch as Uncle Pei did back in the day. We also sell chicken giblet soup now. 15 coins a bowl. It has noodles inside. You can soak flatbread in it. It is very warming to eat a bowl in winter. When second uncle returns, he can have a proper taste of it. Hoping for your safe return home. When second uncle is out on a military campaign, it is inevitable to encounter various emergencies. There is nothing to be done about that. No, there was something to be done. We had horses. We could have slaughtered the horses and slept inside their bellies, or drunk a few bowls of horse blood. That would have saved so many lives. But once you do that, you are bound to delay military orders. And slaughtering war horses is a crime in itself. Therefore, Between following orders and taking responsibility, I chose to abandon them. This is not your fault. In a situation like that, no one knows which choice is the right one. Slaughtering a horse is easy, but once you start down that road, you wouldn't necessarily all survive either. Second uncle, I believe that every decision you made was well considered. Military orders are like mountains. That has always been the case, right? Ordering the massacre of thousands of women and children was also well considered, although it is very cruel and very tragic. But the fault is not yours. Then whose fault is it? The fault lies in them being nomads, and us being Han. The fault lies in them wanting to eat and stay warm, while we wanted to farm our own land. It was a deadlock of survival from the start. If you must insist on labeling right and wrong, if you were in the wrong, that doesn't mean what others did was right either. None of us are gods in heaven, so how could anyone act without a single flaw? Even a wooden ladle will crack after being used for too long. All right. Why are you crying? Let's not talk about this anymore. Today at the governor's manor, I saw Magistrate Xue. And then, I heard about how you grabbed a kitchen knife back then, dragged your own father to the magistrate's office, and ended up receiving 20 strokes of the cane. That is right. I was impulsive back then and didn't think things through. Not only did I fail to get the money back, I took a beating and was condemned as an unfilial daughter. Thinking back on it now, it really wasn't worth it. Who would dare gossip like that? Huck. Even a fair judge finds it hard to settle family disputes. When people start talking, you'll hear all sorts of things regardless. Let them talk. It doesn't make me any less of a person. When you were going through such a difficult time, why didn't you write to tell me? Why bring that up now? It is quite pointless. Life in the army isn't easy for you, uncle. I noticed the expenses of Commander Han and his men. They didn't shy away from spending silver. No. I don't spend as much as they do. Mentioning the expenses of Commander Han and his men reminds me of that awkward situation from a couple of days ago. Uncle, what about Lieutenant Han and the others? They didn't. Then where did they go? I was just buying groceries, and I clearly saw them head into Lion Alley. Forget about them. Let them be. How can I do that? Since they've come to Lion Alley, we certainly must host them. I've already bought the groceries. Since you know they're there, second uncle, you should go and call them over. I won't. Where exactly are they? If you won't go, I'll go get them. The brothel. Ever since Erlang returned home, my life has been much easier. He does his morning training, waking up even earlier than I do. Why don't you sleep in a little more? Even though he used to sell bean curd as a boy, he is now an official in the capital. How can he still do such menial labor? Next time, I will wake up even earlier and finish the work first. This is no place for a widowed sister-in-law to look. Erlang. Mother and father passed away early, and eldest brother too. Now that Erlang has made something of himself, I, as your sister, am truly proud of you. You keep mentioning the dead. Why not ask how the living are doing? That is not fair, second brother. We came here this time, specifically to take little sister and grandmother to the Jew estate to live in comfort. I said it long ago. Grandmother and my little sister should not have to suffer in a place like this. I suggested taking them to the Jew estate back then, but your sister wouldn't hear of it. That is right. Erlang and my sister-in-law are still at home. If I were to take the elderly and the young away and leave you here, a widow and her brother-in-law, what would other people say? I only feared you would be the subject of gossip. That is why. What a load of high-sounding excuses. You make it sound as if you're only thinking of us. Sigh. I heard grandmother hasn't been in good health. May was raised by her since she was a child. She wishes to show her filial piety and bring her there to live out her final years in comfort. My brother still has to return to the capital to resume his post. The journey is long and arduous. Just leave them in our care. There is no need. I will be taking them all with me. Ha! You intend to take them to Huajing? Yes, including her. Do you have a problem with that? No. Then let's head back. Right. Erlang, I heard you attended the governor's banquet. You must have seen Magistrate Xue as well. There was a vacancy for a Confucian instructor at their yamen recently. Could you put in a good word? Let your brother-in-law take the position. A county yamen instructor position requires a degree. The examiner must be a Jurin degree holder. Master Zhu hasn't even passed the Shusai exam. Yet you have the nerve to ask for this. Do you want to work at the county office? Haha. It was Yu who wanted me to go. She has no sense. And you've lost yours too. You don't even know your own worth. Have some tea, second uncle. Look, from the moment she arrived until she left, she didn't once ask about grandmother, nor did she say she wanted to go see her. And yet she knows full well that grandmother loved her the most when she was a child. Xue Yu. It wasn't that I didn't know what kind of person she was back then. I just had no other choice. Fortunately, I had you at the time. Otherwise, I fear I would have been unable to escape punishment. Uncle, why do you keep calling me by my name? That is the second time already. Have I done something wrong? Why have I suddenly lost the respect of my own uncle? Sister-in-law. Aha. General, it is getting late. We must be quick. Why the sudden return? Has something happened in the capital? They say it is at the Chang'an military camp. A case of arms smuggling was uncovered. The scale is massive, and the reach is wide. Everyone has been ordered back for questioning. My goodness, this is a serious matter. You must be careful, uncle. No need to be nervous. I haven't resumed my post yet, so I won't be caught up in any of it. Though the capital is prosperous, I've heard the political waters are treacherous. Peace and quiet are best. Otherwise, one is better off as a local official, free and at ease. How can that compare? When an official is sent from the capital, the local magistrates tremble in their boots. It's all the same, really. There is no true freedom and ease. It is better to push your way to the top, standing against the current, so you can stand all the more firmly. You speak the truth, uncle. I have been short-sighted. Hey. Take this. What is this? How much? 10,000 taels. Where did you get this money, uncle? Don't worry, I didn't steal it or rob anyone. It is a reward from the emperor. I had it converted into banknotes. Uncle, please keep them safe. You keep them. How could I possibly do that? Why not? All right then. I'll hold on to them for you, uncle. I'll give them back once you and Miss Feng are married. Xue Yu. What are you talking about? What Miss Feng? Where did this Miss Feng come from? Who has been whispering nonsense in your ear? Isn't it the young lady from the Feng family at the Northern General's estate? You don't like her, uncle. I don't. Oh, never mind then. When it comes to settling down, it is best to be with someone you truly like. If you don't like her, there are plenty of noble ladies in the capital. There is no need to rush. Take your time. There are plenty of noble ladies in the capital. What does that have to do with me? Stop spouting nonsense. I don't know what I said wrong. Why are you losing your temper? But he is leaving soon. Who knows when we'll see each other again after this? It is better to just humor him. Can I take 100 taels from these bills to use? Of course. Spend it however you like. I only need 100. Back when I was helping move goods at the fabric store, I saw a bolt of silk. It cost dozens of taels. They called it floating light or maybe makeup flower satin. I've wanted it for 3 years now. Since you have money now, uncle, I'll tailor a dress for myself. I'll tailor one for Xiao Tao and one for mother. You can tailor as many as you like. Tailor as much as your heart desires. It'll be like this from now on. Is there anything else you haven't given me yet? What else? The climate in the capital is nothing like the frontier. Truthfully, I likely won't even need them. But since you've already made them, go ahead and give them to me. What did you say, second uncle? The knee pads. Oh no. When I was taking measurements last time, I really did have those knee pads in my basket, along with the thick black cushions. But those were made for Scholar Chen. How am I supposed to explain this? Oh, I'll go get them. And the cushions. Second, uncle, those aren't needed right now. Leave them at home for now. If they're needed, I'll go get them. Oh, why are you leaving again? Grandmother. If you leave, what will happen to little you? When will you two finally have a child? How old are you now? You rascal, are you even capable? You need to put in some effort. He is second brother. He is grandmother. Grandmother, you've mistaken him for someone else. Trying to trick me. Do you think I'm a fool? I saw the two of you bow at the wedding ceremony with my own eyes. Did he chase you away again? He doesn't want you anymore. Don't be afraid. Just watch me give him a piece of my mind. In the blink of an eye, the year is ending again. Second uncle has been back in the capital for 3 months. Life continues as it always has. Yet things have changed a little. Xiang has fallen ill. You haven't come by in a long time. Shopkeeper Xue is busy. Oh, it is sister-in-law Wu. It is not easy traveling all the way from Damiakun village. Have some water. Forget the water. I just wanted to ask you about something. Do you have any news about that young Officer Han who lived at your place? Young Officer Han. That is right. He didn't leave a word when he left. That is when I found out. While Officer Han and the others were staying in Damao village, they ate quite a few meals sent over by Widow Wu. That son of a bitch slept with me. What? He even promised to marry me. In the end, he didn't even say goodbye and just snuck away. Sigh. Sister Wu, I have to be honest with you. How could you believe him? That Officer Han didn't look like a good man at all. Pa, how many men are actually good? I don't care, he promised to marry me. Even if he hides with the Emperor himself, I'll still drag him out. And what if you do find him? What if he still refuses to marry you? Then I'll castrate him. Haha. Widows are truly bold, daring to go to the capital to settle a score. She is worthy of having eaten 2 of our chicken backsides. What did you say? A role model for us all. Amazing. You didn't go to the academy today. Isn't the scholar off preparing for his exams? The new teacher hasn't arrived yet. Then go to the backyard and wash the dishes. All right. Xiang has been ill for some time now. I really couldn't keep up with all the work, so I hired a waiter for the shop. I went to see Xiang when I had a moment. On the way back, I stopped by the Jingyun fabric shop and bought 2 bolts of cloth. It was the floating light brocade I'd been dreaming of, shimmering with light, dazzling to the eyes. Another half a month passed. Uncle Zhao came by. Oh, Uncle Zhao. Why are you? Xue Yu. Uncle is begging you. Please, save my Xiang. Uncle Zhao, what are you doing? Please, get up. Sit down and tell me slowly. Xiang hasn't been well lately. I had a doctor come to see her today. The doctor actually said it was a sickness of the heart. She has been getting thinner by the day recently. Her lips are pale. She lied to me saying it was just a lack of energy. I just thought she was overtired. If Erlang doesn't return soon, I'm afraid she won't recover. Sobbing, Erlang. Xiang had feelings for Uncle Erlang. I wonder when that first started. Uncle Zhao and Old Man Pecky were old acquaintances. Back in the day, Uncle Zhao would often bring young Xiang over for tofu pudding. You scoundrel, where have you been goofing off again? Look at Dai Lang. He only cares about his studies. And you? Always hanging around those thugs from the west side. Are you trying to be the death of me? I know, father. Easy, you're going to pull my ear off. Huh. What are you laughing at? Old Man Pei actually wanted to pass his craft down to Erlang, but unfortunately Erlang was far too unruly, so he thought that in the future he would find him a formidable father-in-law. That father-in-law was meant to be Uncle Zhao. Uncle Zhao was once a fearsome constable. He had offended many thugs and ruffians. It wasn't until Xiang was kidnapped that he finally panicked. Xiang's leg had been broken by those thugs. Just as they were about to hurt her further, Pei Lang happened to pass by and saw them. Pei Yi, don't meddle in other people's business. Get lost now. He took one look at Xiang, then turned and walked away. Ha ha ha. Father, I've killed a man. Later on, Erlang joined the army. Uncle Zhao told everyone that Xiang's leg was injured by a fall at home. But once Erlang left, he never came back. A few years passed, and Uncle P passed away. No one spoke anymore of Xiang marrying Erlang. Xiang had become a cripple and was no longer a match for Erlang. Later on, Xiang made a desperate gamble. She used her dowry to open this shop, just for this one chance to get close to him. She waited for 3.5 years, and finally she saw Erlang. Second uncle. Do you remember? This is Uncle Zhao's daughter, Shang. Our shop. It was all thanks to her using her dowry that we were able to open it. My thanks to you, miss. He had once killed a man for her, yet he seemed to have forgotten who she was. The string that had been pulled taut in Xiang's heart for so many years snapped. The string snapped, and all her spirit simply drained away. After Erlang left, she fell ill. She's so stubborn. I told her long ago. Even if Erlang has become a great general now, and even if he were just a common soldier, we are no longer a match for him. Why would a man like Erlang marry a cripple? I thought I'd just let her be. It's been so many years. If she didn't see Erlang once, she would never give up. But I never expected that after seeing him, not only would her heart die, but her body would also give out. Prince Kang is involved in a major arms smuggling case in Chang'an. The capital's official circles are being purged. I suppose he is too busy to get away. A second-rank military official. A bright future ahead. Sigh. In the short term, I'm afraid Erlang won't be able to return. Isn't a Xiang just a man? You should learn from Widow Wu in our village. If you can't have him, just castrate him. Soup. Look at this. I picked this sunset-hued fabric specifically. When you put it on, it'll be like draping yourself in clouds. Get up and try it on. Drink a bowl of chicken soup. We're going to the Lantern Festival at Zhou Bridge tonight. I'm not going. I have no strength in my body. I really can't get up. Xiang, Yu Niang. This dress is truly beautiful. It is a pity I can't leave the house. Could you put it on and let me see it? Sigh. If you can't go out, just keep it for later. Drink your chicken soup first. I can't drink it. My heart is racing so terribly. I want to live too. But I think I'm really at my end. Yunyang, please put it on and let me see. Sister-in-law, why are you crying? Is Sister Xiang dying? Was everything she just said a final testament? She said I looked like I was draped in clouds in this dress. She asked me to see the Lantern Festival at Zhou Bridge for her. It seems she won't make it through the night. Isn't that my second brother? Why has he returned? I don't know. Why is he back? Third uncle. Second uncle, you finally come. Why have you only arrived now? Wea. What is wrong? Stop crying first. Your eyes are all swollen from crying. So the person Sister Shang couldn't have was my brother. Coming out of Uncle Zhao's house, I've calmed down now. I don't know what second young Master Pei said to a Xiang in the room. When he came out, his expression wasn't very good. Second uncle, what is the matter? Is a Xiang okay? She is fine. That is good to hear. This is a sickness of the heart, stagnant and blocked. The doctor said it requires medicine for the soul. You wrote asking when I would return. Was it because of this? Yes. I was worried sick. Really? I'm not like you. I'm such a fool. You. How could you be a fool? You are a second-rank official in the imperial court. If you were a fool, the emperor wouldn't have chosen you. Second uncle, did I say something wrong again? Humph. No. Is this your newly tailored dress? 100 taels of silver for only 3 bolts of cloth. Too expensive. Not at all. It is worth every penny. It looks lovely, doesn't it? I think it looks lovely too, but it still pains me to spend so much. In the end, I even haggled with the shopkeeper. I squeezed an extra bolt of fine white silk out of him. He wasn't happy about it. What did he say just now? It looks lovely. Ah, haha. See, second uncle, it is getting late. We should hurry back to the shop to see grandmother. No rush. I saw her just a moment ago. She is in high spirits and a very heavy hand. He hit you with his cane again. It has been years since I've been to the Lantern Festival. Take me for a walk over to the west side of the bridge. I should really get back and tend to grandmother. Xiao Tao is there. No need to worry. Ah, I suppose so. Then please, uncle. Look over there. Isn't that girl wearing? Isn't it? That is precisely. This dress is far too eye-catching. That gaze from behind makes one feel as if they're being needled. Does it hurt? Let me carry you. No. I just need you to steady me, uncle. Yuniang, what's wrong? Aha, it is nothing. Just twisted my ankle. Scholar, this is my uncle. He just returned from the capital today. General P. Uncle. The scholar here is Xiao Tao's tutor. He has passed the provincial examinations and will be heading to the capital in the 3rd month for the imperial exam. The spring exams are usually in the 2nd month. Why are you waiting until the 3rd month to go? They were meant for the 2nd month, but there have been many disturbances at court this winter. His Majesty recently issued a decree postponing the palace exam to the 5th month. I see. Scholar, you should prepare to depart for the capital in the 3rd month. Have you packed everything? I have. Everything I need is ready. The weather was quite cold during the provincial exams, but it is warming up now. I won't be taking the knee pads along. Actually, Yunyang, that fur seat cushion you made is excellent. I've packed that. It will be useful for those cold benches during the exam. Scholar, you should head back now. My legs are getting a bit tired. Let's not talk any longer today. Oh, right. Remember to apply the medicine to your feet, otherwise you won't be able to walk tomorrow. Aha. Go inside. Actually, the scholar didn't mean to overstep. He passed the provincial examination. A few days ago, he discussed it with me. He wants to settle our affairs before heading to the capital. By settling things, naturally, it means informing the head of the Pei family. That would be uncle. He already signed my divorce papers long ago. I want to marry the scholar. It is both reasonable and proper. But why do I feel so uneasy? Like I've done something shameful. I didn't steal or rob. Rain falls from the sky. A widow remarries. What is so disgraceful about a general's widowed sister-in-law not wanting to stay celibate? There is nothing shameful about it. It's just that ever since Uncle came back this time, he's felt strange. It's unsettling. Whatever. When I see him tomorrow, I'll tell him about it. Knock, knock. Aha. Uncle. What is it? I brought some medicinal wine. You should apply it to your feet. Oh, right, since he's here. I might as well take this chance to talk about the scholar. Uncle, there's something. Uncle is leaving. Where to? Jiangzhou County. Why must you leave just as you've arrived? This trip was meant for official business. I just happened to pass through Taozhou, so I stopped to see you. It's already so late tonight. Take care on your journey, Uncle. Stay safe. What was it you wanted to tell me earlier? It's nothing urgent. I'll tell you when you return. I, however, have something important to ask you. The knee pads and pouch cushions you gave me before, were they meant for someone else? Yes. Why would you make those for him? Think carefully before you answer. The scholar. The scholar is a very kind man. He helped me in the past, and he has been quite good to Xiaotao at the school. Plus, he's an orphan with no family. Last time he missed his exams due to a cold, so that's why This is the last time. You are not to make anything for him ever again, as dull as I am. I think I finally realized it. Second brother's behavior toward me is a bit strange. No, Uncle, I have something I want to tell you. It can wait. Wait until I return. I have things to tell you as well. Yunyang, have you spoken to your uncle about us yet? Not yet. I'll tell him as soon as he gets back. I get the feeling General Pei doesn't like me. But don't worry. Once I earn my title through these exams, perhaps he will look at me with more respect. Then, do your best on the exams. I will. I certainly will. Watching the scholar's receding figure, I suddenly remembered that it has been a full month since second brother left. Ashang's health has improved quite a bit lately. She is already able to walk out and help out at the shop. Sister, Asyang, let me do that. You don't need to do such heavy work. I've fully recovered. Being idle is boring anyway. Ashang. What is it, Yunyang? What did Second Master Penna say to you before? He didn't really say much. I saw his expression was solemn that day. He just looked at me and said coldly, when I saved you back then, it was in the hope that you would live for yourself, instead of pinning your hopes on someone else. Yunyang, your uncle's words were truly harsh. He also said, if I had known you'd turn out like this today, I shouldn't have saved you in the first place. Since you were destined to die anyway, what was the point of living these extra years? I suddenly burst into tears. After crying, I felt much better. My heart actually felt less heavy. Sigh. She feels less heavy, but now I'm the one who feels weighed down. Sister-in-law, do you also have someone you can't have? Aha. Don't be afraid, it is me. Third uncle. Yes. You scared me to death. Sob, sob, sob. I apologize, but this is an emergency. Dress quickly and leave. Go to the pavilion in the countryside hundreds of miles from Yunnan County and pick up a young gentleman surnamed Xiao wearing deep purple jade robes. Ah, and now? Yes, now. A carriage is waiting for you. It's right at the shop entrance. Oh, okay. I'll go right now. Do not be afraid. I have arranged everything. You only need to make this one trip. There will be no danger. I don't understand what he is doing, but he is a general. Whatever he does must be for a grand cause. I lack the ability, so I shall simply obey. Rest assured, second uncle, I will surely bring the guest back. Yes. Where is General Pei? You shall know soon, sir. Please, come with me, sir. What is your relationship to General Pi, madam? I am his widowed sister-in-law. I see. Master Xiao was quite cautious. He only boarded the carriage after his questioning. We headed back to Yunnan County along the way. When we arrived at the shop entrance, it was already 1 o'clock in the morning. I thought for a moment, then hung the closed sign on the door before asking Master Xiao to step down. Second uncle, our honored guest has arrived. Second uncle, what happened to you? What is going on? You were perfectly fine when I left. Second uncle, please don't scare me. Second uncle, do not panic. Go get a doctor quickly. He is badly wounded. Right, a doctor. I'm going to fetch a doctor. Your Highness the Crown Prince, I am incompetent to have let you be alarmed. The Crown Prince. This man is actually the reigning Crown Prince. A humble commoner like me. To think I'm seeing the Crown Prince himself. Haha. Lady Xue has been a benefactor to me. No need for such formalities. Please rise. Your Highness, you honor this lowly woman too much. I am not worthy of such courtesy. Rise. Seeing that they still seem to have things to discuss, I quickly found an excuse to slip away. I shall go prepare some tea for the two noble guests. The arms trafficking case at the end of the year had uncovered a series of corruption, bribery, and treason cases. The Crown Prince was ordered to travel south to investigate. His Majesty had sent only General Pie to accompany him. As soon as they began to uncover some leads, a large band of assassins appeared, seeking to execute the Crown Prince himself. After a long flight for their lives, they arrived in Daozhou Prefecture, only to face another bloody battle. Pei Yi did not hesitate to draw the assassins away as a target, having agreed with the prince to meet at a pavilion hundreds of miles from Yunnan County. The prince had already been waiting there for 2 days. Having survived the ordeal, even a royal crown prince could not help but feel a lingering sense of relief. General PT, do you know the origin of those assassins? The prefect of Jiangdu and the governor of Yuzhou both take their orders from Prince Kang. I know that Feng Jiru was once your mentor. But in this political strife, you are a newly appointed court official. Surely you would not wish to be drawn into this. Your Highness, I serve only the Son of Heaven. And what defines the Son of Heaven? The one with legitimate succession is the Son of Heaven. Ha ha ha. Well played, Pei Yi. Rest assured, Your Highness, I have already eliminated all those assassins and have notified the governor of Taozhou Prefecture. Han Ying is already leading troops here to protect you. Your Highness shall return to the capital safely in a few days. The Crown Prince was escorted back to the capital, while Erlang remained at home to recover from his wounds. Recovering at home, it might sting a little. Bear with it, uncle. It is fine. Aha! The day I went to pick you up, you were perfectly fine, uncle. How did you get so badly hurt the moment you got back? Could it be that after I left, assassins came to the shop? No. Then this injury. You did this on purpose? I suppose you could say that. Why? Have you lost your mind? No matter how important the matter is, you shouldn't hurt yourself this severely. What if something had gone wrong? Are you worried about me, sister-in-law? Of course I am your sister-in-law. Naturally I'd be afraid for your safety. Then why are you blushing? Erlang, stop this nonsense. Yuniang. Uncle, I have something to discuss with you. That scholar you met last time has taken great care of me over the years. You know, I had just married your brother when he passed away. After all these years of managing things, I am now 21. I think the scholar is a good man, and I want to marry him. Don't worry, uncle, the scholar said. Even after we're married, we'll still be family. I can continue running the business, and I can still look after my sister-in-law. Once you are settled in the capital, you can bring grandmother and my sister-in-law over. And if they don't want to go, it is fine for them to continue living with me. Whatever works, it will be fine. Huh. Have you truly thought this through, sister-in-law? I've made up my mind. Good. You just wait. Ever since he gritted his teeth that day and said, "You just wait," I've been on pins and needles. These past few days, his wounds have healed, but his face has only grown colder. Huh. Uncle, is your injury feeling better? Almost healed. Aha. The way he looks at me, like a wolf stalking its prey. I better run. Haha. Sister-in-law, is my brother going to be all right? Why are you looking so pale? Pei Xiaotao. Nobody will think you're a mute if you don't talk. But if I don't talk, I might as well be a mute. Don't you have something to do? Go to the kitchen and fire up the stove. I need to boil the brine later. All right, I'm going. Hey. You little brat. Running off again. Aha, let me do it. Well then you do it, uncle. I'll go wash the clothes in the basin. Do you really think you're getting out of here? Erlang, let me go. Aha, Pei Yi, have you lost your mind? Put me down. Aha, you want to get married? I'm much better than that scholar. Ha. Just try it. Sanlang, I am your sister-in-law. I know. A brother's death and a brother-in-law taking his widow is punishable by hanging. Is that what you're worried about? Commoners might get away with it. But you are different. You are now an official in the capital, a man in the emperor's favor. Countless eyes are watching you. You finally climbed out of the pile of corpses. If your reputation were destroyed by such a thing, I would never be able to forgive myself, even in death. I watched you rise to such heights. You must not fall because of me. No. It cannot be us. Anyone else would be fine, but the two of us simply cannot. I only ask if you want to marry me. As long as you want to, you won't have to worry about anything at all. Aha. I don't know. I have already promised to marry the scholar. I didn't quite hear that just now. Tell me one more time. Who are you going to marry? Think clearly before you answer. Marry you. I want to marry you. Erlang, please spare me. You said it yourself. You can't go back on your word now. Ha. Aha. The door. It is locked. It has nothing to do with me. Aha. Who locked you two in? Hey. Where is mother? She is out front sunning herself. I'll go help her rub her shoulders. 6 months later, the PA family's bean curd shop was handed over to Asyang. The recipe for the chili oil, the secret formula for the brine. I gave it all to her. Pei Erlang returned from the capital to take us away. Aha! Erlang. Sister, I beg you, please take Wanyang with you. Take her with you too. Never come back here again. I have many official matters to attend to, and cannot look after the household. It seems the Zhu family knew they couldn't get anything more from Erlang, so they took their anger out on the mother and daughter. Pei Mei could endure it herself, but she couldn't bear to see her daughter suffer. Great General. I'm not busy, I can look after the household. Fine. On the way back to the capital, I kept thinking, ever since the scholar left for the capital to take the exams, it was as if he had vanished into thin air. There wasn't a whisper of news. I asked Pei Erlang. He just gave a light laugh. You'll see him eventually. It wasn't until I saw him in the capital, where the scholar had become the son-in-law of the Minister of Rights, that I understood what Erlang meant. They say General Pei even acted as the matchmaker. How could you do something so wicked? Focus. You aren't allowed to think about other men. But that was, even if I was the one who did it. If he didn't have the desire to cling to power, who could have forced him into the bridal chamber? The widow Wu, who had been so determined to go to the capital, has also gotten married. She is already expecting a child. Young General Han is busy waiting on her hand and foot. Xiao Tao is still a bit resentful about that. Hey, why didn't she just castrate him? This isn't what I wanted to see. I came to the capital. I also came to the capital to get married, with the crown prince as our sponsor, and the empress decreeing the marriage. The current empress insisted that I looked exactly like her late younger sister. She felt a kinship with me at first sight, so she took me in as her foster sister. She even had me change my surname to hers, calling me Xue Yu. From then on, the name Xue Yu existed only back in Yunnan County of Daozhou Prefecture. General Pei draws his wife's eyebrows after returning from court. I don't know what suddenly came to mind. You did this on purpose. What do you mean, my lady? You had your eyes on me long ago. Since when did you start planning for me? Be good. I'll tell you tonight. Aha. Your strength is growing more and more. Excellent.